Hi, today I thought I would do a 2025 TBR video. I have a lot of books to get through, so let's get into it. I think I'm going to start with the book I'm currently reading, and it's Fake Dates and Mooncakes. I can feel my motivation towards reading slipping a bit, so I feel like I need something light and fluffy. It's pretty short to get some more motivation, get the ball rolling with reading again. This is about a family-run Chinese takeout place who is struggling to stay open. It's in the perspective of a 17-year-old, and the family of this Chinese takeout place signs up for a mooncake making competition to try to save their business. There's a side storyline of the main character and a rich guy that he meets falling in love. So yeah, that's pretty much what this book is about. I'm only, 40 pages in, so I can't really tell where it's going, but so far it's keeping my attention. Next, I think I'll go into fiction. So another book that I want to read in 2025 is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I've heard so many great things about this book. It's queer, it's set in Paris in the 1950s, it navigates a man questioning his sexuality, I believe, but he is involved with a woman, so I think there's a lot of conflict, especially with morality and that kind of stuff, so I think it should be interesting. This next book is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. This one, I believe, is about two young boys, their friendship that kind of turns into something more when they were younger, and a lot of time passes by and they've grown up, and one of them is married, a woman, and the other one has not been heard of. Kind of delves into what may have happened and why they have been out of contact for all these years. Next is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is one I actually just recently thrifted. Usually I see this book referenced with books like A Little Life, so I believe it's in the genre of psychological fiction. It covers a lot of dark and disturbing topics such as sexual abuse. I think that's the main one in this story, so definitely look up trigger warnings for this one. But I believe it is about a woman who experiences an inappropriate relationship with her English teacher, to sexual abuse and the power dynamic between them. I'm very interested in what this one will entail. It's also highly rated, very popular on Book Talk along with A Little Life, so I'm very interested to see what the hype is about. Next is another one that I thrifted the other day. It's called It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. This one is very interesting. It's set in a psychiatric hospital. It's in the perspective of a teenager who was an academic overachiever who just pushed themselves too far and eventually became suicidal and was sent to a psychiatric hospital. And then it's from their experience there, the people that they met, and their journey throughout. When I looked it up, it's actually placed under the genre of comedy, so very interested at where that comes in. I was not expecting that. But yeah, this is definitely one that's on my TBR for 2025. Up next is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Very popular author at the moment. I actually read Evelyn Hugo when I first started reading, like 3 or 4 years ago, and it is the book that got me into reading. It was a 5-star read, incredible story. Honestly, I wasn't much of a reader before that, and that was the book that really got me interested in reading. I haven't read any of her other books since, but I know Malibu Rising is another popular one, and my sister specifically recommended it, so I'm very interested in branching off to some of her other books. Next, I have 2 books from the same author. It is Neverwhere and The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This is the same author that wrote Coraline, which is a book and movie that I really enjoyed. So I definitely wanted to check out some of his other books. This first one is The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and it is about a man who comes back to his childhood home, and he sort of has this fixation on a girl that he used to know when he lived there as a kid, and I believe that she does not live there anymore, but there's some sort of story behind it, and this book kind of delves into whatever happened. It's very vague, the back of it. It doesn't exactly say, but it does imply that something strange, frightening, dangerous happened in his youth, and I think he starts to unpack it when he comes back to his childhood home. The other book of his that I have is Neverwhere. This one sounds really interesting. I'm very intrigued. It's not specific about what the plot is, though. So from the back of the book, it says it's in the perspective of a young man, Richard Mayhew. He lives an ordinary life, and then one day he sees a woman bleeding on the side of the road, and he goes to help her, and in this act of kindness, he slips between the cracks of reality, it sounds like, and he's transported into, it says, the city of shadows, darkness, monsters and saints, murderers and angels. So I don't know what that means exactly, but it definitely sounds interesting. And a little review of the back of the book by US Today says, delightful, inventively horrific. So very interested in what this one entails. My last 3 books that I'm looking forward to reading in 2025 are all fantasies. So the first one, and I started reading a few pages of this already. It's The Mysterious Benedict Society. I, first of all, love the cover of this book. I think that's what drew me to it at first. So this one is about a peculiar ad in a newspaper. It's targeted to special children, and they take a series of mysterious, odd tests. I'm not sure what the prize for succeeding in these tasks are, but it says that only 4 will pass. Everyone wants to get in. It sounds very whimsical, very fun. It's a thick one, but it has really good reviews, and it's also a series. It seems like there's a lot of other books, so if this one ends up being cool, I might have to check out some of the other ones. Next is Impossible Creatures, which is another fantasy involving dragons and fun creatures. This one is about 2 kids exploring a cluster of unmapped islands called the Archipelago, and these islands are where thousands of mystical creatures thrive. I believe the creatures end up being in danger, and some of them start to die and go extinct, and along the way the 2 main characters are trying to save them and go through many different battles and conflicts throughout their journey. Lastly, we have a graphic novel to end off my 2025 TBR. This is the 3rd book in the graphic novel series Hooky. I really enjoyed the first 2. It's been a while since I read them, so I'm hoping that I'll remember what's going on. This book involves witches and magic and a big group of friends and good fighting evil. It's very entertaining, and they're pretty thick graphic novels. I feel like this is a graphic novel with a really good plot and a lot of action, but also a lot of wholesome moments mixed in, lovable characters. I really love this series, and this is the last book in it, so it's kind of sad. Definitely have to read that one. So these were all the books on my TBR that I physically have, but I also have some honorable mentions. I don't have the physical copies, but I still have my eye on them. I really want to read them this year. The first one is Boy Parts. I'm not sure who the author is by, I'll have it up here, but this one is very interesting. It's compared to American Psycho, but from the perspective of a woman, and I believe it's a woman who takes explicit pictures of men, but it becomes more sinister, and I just found that concept so interesting. One of my favorite YouTubers, Eleanor Neal, read it and really enjoyed it. She's a true crime YouTuber, so I feel like I would really enjoy it as well. Next, and I feel like this is kind of similar to the Boy Parts one in that it's like a gory kind of thriller horror book. It's called Tender is the Flesh, and this is a world where a virus has gone around and animal meat is poisoned, so people can no longer eat animal meat. They instead eat human meat, and I just think that concept is so disturbing and disgusting. It's just crazy and should be interesting for a book, so that's definitely on the TBR. And the last one, another fun novel, is Legends and Lattes. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. It's a fantasy, and overall I think it's about a bounty hunter who leaves their life of bounty hunting to open their dream cafe. I just think that's so cute, and I've heard it's very wholesome, very cozy little fantasy. These are all the books that I'm hoping to get to in 2025. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought, and also what books you're looking forward to reading this year. Bye!